is only one God, and his name is Death.
The sword, the mask, and the mystery of Arya Stark. There's a theory in the Game of Thrones universe that refuses to die, that Syrio Forel, Arya Stark's first swordmaster, and Jaqen H'ghar, the faceless assassin of Braavos, are actually the same person. It sounds impossible. But then again, in a world where men can change faces, what does impossible even mean? Think about it. The last time we see Syrio, he's standing in the halls of the Red Keep, armed with nothing but a wooden sword, facing down armored Lannister soldiers to protect Arya. What do we say to the god of death? He asks. Not today. Moments later, he's gone. No body, no closure, just silence. Then, a few chapters later, Arya meets a strange man locked in a cage, a killer from Braavos who speaks in riddles, moves like a shadow, and knows more about death than anyone she's ever met. His name? Jaqen H'ghar. Coincidence or continuation? Did Syrio Forel truly fall to Sir Meryn Trant that day? Or did he simply change his face, shed his name, and return to guide Arya under a new mask? Stay with me, because if this theory holds true, it means Arya Stark's entire journey from the Red Keep to the House of Black and White might have been orchestrated from the very beginning by the same man. The legend of Syrio Forel. Before Arya Stark ever held a blade in anger, there was Syrio Forel, the first sword of Braavos, a man who moved like water and spoke like wind. To a little girl from Winterfell, he wasn't just a teacher, he was a revelation. In King's Landing, surrounded by deceit and steel, Syrio taught Arya something far more valuable than swordsmanship: clarity. See with your eyes, he said. The heart lies, the head plays tricks, but the eyes see true. He wasn't just teaching her to fight, he was teaching her to see, to read truth in a world built on lies. And when the moment came to test that truth, Syrio didn't hesitate. The day the Lannisters came for Arya, Syrio stood between her and death, armed with nothing but a wooden practice sword. Sir Meryn Trant sneered at him, an armored knight against an unarmed man. But Syrio's eyes burned with that unmistakable Braavosi confidence. What followed was a blur of motion and defiance. Wood cracked against steel, men fell, and as Arya fled, the sound of splintering wood echoed through the halls of the Red Keep, the sound of Syrio's last stand, or so we think, because in A Song of Ice and Fire, no body means no death. And Syrio Forel, the man who said, "Not today," to death itself, may have meant it more literally than anyone realized. Did the first sword of Braavos really fall that day, or did he vanish, slipping behind a new face, into a new life? Enter Jaqen H'ghar. Not long after Syrio's supposed death, Arya meets another man from Braavos, though under far stranger circumstances. He's locked in a wooden cage, traveling north in a caravan bound for the Wall, a prisoner among murderers and thieves. His voice is smooth but foreign, his words strange. "A man has a name," he says, speaking of himself in the third person. A girl must give a name. To Arya, he's unlike anyone she's ever met. To us, he's Jaqen H'ghar, one of the Faceless men, assassins who can change their appearance at will. And here's where the theory ignites. Because Jaqen's arrival doesn't just happen after Syrio's disappearance, it feels like a continuation. Syrio disappears in King's Landing. Jaqen appears in the very next stage of Arya's journey. Both are Braavosi. Both are mysterious mentors. Both teach Arya lessons about death, deception, and transformation. Even their words echo each other. Syrio, there is only one God, and his name is Death. Jaqen, there is only one God. A girl knows his name. Coincidence? Or a whisper of the same voice behind two faces? It's almost too poetic. The protector becomes the assassin, the teacher becomes the tester, and death itself takes on a new disguise. And if Jaqen really is Syrio, if he survived that night by shedding his face and becoming someone new, then Arya's story takes on an entirely different meaning. Because the man who taught her to see may have been watching her all along, the evidence that connects them. The theory isn't built on wishful thinking alone. There are real threads tying Syrio Forel and Jaqen H'ghar together. Threads that, when woven, start to look like the same cloak of shadow and steel. First, Their origins. Both men hail from Braavos, the city of masks and secrets. Braavos is home to the Faceless Men, an order that trains assassins to become no one. Syrio's title, First Sword of Braavos, places him among the elite of the city. Jaqen's allegiance to the Faceless Men roots him in the same world. Two sides of the same coin, the fighter and the killer, both born of the same waters. Then there's their speech. Neither talks like the rest of Westeros. Syrio, sharp, clipped, rhythmic. Jaqen, melodic, alien, detached. Each sentence sounds like a ritual, as though they speak not merely to communicate, but to shape the world with their words. And of course, their philosophy. Syrio teaches Arya that fear cuts deeper than swords. Jaqen teaches her that a girl must be no one. Both lessons strip away illusion. Both turn her into someone who acts, not reacts. But the most powerful link is the timing. Syrio vanishes in King's Landing, body unseen, death unconfirmed. Soon after, a faceless assassin from Braavos appears, bound for the wall, right where Arya ends up. Coincidence? In George R.R. Martin's world, chance is rare. To many fans, it feels deliberate, as though Syrio had planned it all, that he disguised himself as a prisoner to escape King's Landing and continue Arya's training from the shadows. And if that's true, then Jaqen isn't a new character at all. He's the same teacher, wearing a different mask, guiding Arya from the innocence of the water dance into the darkness of death. The cracks in the mask. Every illusion has its weakness, and the Syrio equals Jaqen theory is no different. When you look past the poetry, the logic begins to break apart. First, let's start with status and purpose. Syrio Forel wasn't just any Braavosi. He was the first sword of Braavos, the personal protector of the Sea Lord, a celebrity in his own right, known for his skill and honor. The Faceless Men, by contrast, are the opposite of fame. They live and kill in anonymity. For one of them to take on the identity of such a famous man would be breaking their own sacred rule, to be no one. Then there's their philosophy, and here their worlds collide. Syrio teaches Arya to see through lies, to use her eyes to discern truth. Jaqen, on the other hand, teaches her to become the lie, to wear a face to conceal her truth entirely. One builds identity, the other destroys it. One fights assassins, the other is one. Even their morality stands opposed. Syrio protects the innocent, defies tyrants, and sacrifices himself for Arya's life. Jaqen kills without hesitation, treating death as a gift. And then there's motivation, the biggest flaw of all. At the time Syrio trained Arya, she was just a 10-year-old girl from Winterfell. The Faceless Men had no reason to take interest in her yet. She wasn't obsessed with death. She wasn't skilled. She wasn't lost. Why would one of the world's deadliest assassins drop everything to mentor a random noble girl halfway across the world? The answer, unromantic as it may be, is simple. He wouldn't. The idea is beautiful, but beauty isn't truth, and the cracks in this mask are beginning to show. The faceless logic. So if Syrio and Jaqen aren't literally the same person, why does it feel like they are? The answer lies in the Faceless Men's philosophy itself. They believe that identity is an illusion, that any person can become another, and that death makes us all equal. All men must die, they say, and all men must serve. In that sense, Syrio and Jaqen are spiritually connected, if not physically the same. They represent two sides of the same coin, the teacher of life and the teacher of death. Syrio gives Arya her first weapon, awareness. Jaqen gives her the second, detachment. Together, they forge her transformation, from a child of nobility to a shadow walking between worlds. And maybe that's why the theory resonates so deeply, because in Arya's eyes, they are the same man. The first teaches her how to move like water, the second, how to vanish into it. Both teach her to adapt, to observe, to survive, and both speak with that calm, Braavosi confidence that death is not the end, only a doorway. In a world obsessed with bloodlines and family names, the Faceless Men offer something radical, the death of the self. Syrio begins Arya's unmaking by teaching her to see truth. Jaqen completes it by teaching her to erase identity. It's poetic symmetry, not reincarnation, not disguise, but legacy. The truth, then, isn't that Syrio became Jaqen. It's that Jaqen is what Syrio prepared Arya to meet. Syrio lights the flame, Jaqen turns it into fire, and through them both, Arya Stark is forged, not into no one, but into someone new. The truth beneath the mask. Every myth hides a truth, and every mask conceals a lesson. The question, was Syrio really Jaqen, was never just about identity, it was about transformation. Syrio taught Arya to fight for her life. Jaqen taught her to surrender it. Together, they shaped her into something Westeros had never seen before, a girl who fears neither blade nor death because she's danced with both. Maybe that's the point George R.R. Martin wanted us to see, that the teachers who shape us don't need to be the same person to change our soul in the same way. Syrio's sacrifice set Arya on her path, and Jaqen simply continued it under a different face, a different form, a different faith. But the echo between them lingers, the Braavosy cadence, the stillness, the calm certainty in the face of death. It's no wonder fans see one reflected in the other, two teachers whispering the same truth from opposite ends of the dark. And perhaps that's the secret the Faceless men have always known. Identity doesn't matter. Purpose does. Syrio and Jaqen don't need to share a face, because in Arya's story, they share a role. They are the death of who she was, and the birth of who she becomes. So maybe the real answer isn't who they are, but what they mean. The first sword of Braavos taught Arya how to live. The Faceless man taught her how to die. And somewhere between life and death, between Syrio's wooden sword and Jaqen's sharp whisper, Arya Stark learned to become a legend. Because in the end, every teacher leaves a part of themselves behind, and maybe, just maybe, that's the only face that truly matters, the final reflection. So was Syrio Forel really Jaqen H'ghar? Maybe not in body, but perhaps in purpose. Because in a world where faces change and names fade, truth isn't found in the flesh, it's found in what remains. Syrio taught Arya to see, Jaqen taught her to be unseen, and both left her standing between life and death, between Stark and no one. That's the quiet brilliance of George R.R. Martin's world. Every mystery hides something deeper than a twist. It's not about who wore which face. It's about the idea that people can transform, that every death births something new. So whether Syrio died in that Red Keep hallway or walked away wearing another face, his lesson lived on. Not in the whispers of assassins, but in the heart of a girl from Winterfell who learned to dance with death. Because in the end, the water dancer and the Faceless man were never enemies. They were chapters of the same story.